I'm still on with Mr. Penka, Joseph Penka, and Mahama Ayariga. Now, we're going to veer off into the latest development with regards to the Special Prosecutor's Office and the former Minister for Environment, Science and Innovation, Professor Frimpong Boateng. Yesterday, it came out that he had been arrested by the OSP and had been granted bail. We went to his house to have an interaction with him on that particular matter and a varied array of issues with regards to the operations of the IMCIM when he was chairman. Listen.
I don't know the legal definition. Maybe yes, but maybe not. I'm on bail. So the background is that I think on the 13th or 14th of May, I received a letter from the Special Prosecutor to appear before him. I should report at 10 a.m. on the 16th of May, which I did. The letter said that they were investigating corruption and corruption-related activities of the IMCIM. I was a little bit disturbed.
And ICIM is Inter-Ministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining.
Yes. I thought that they were going to talk about how to stop that IMCIM and all these things. But anyway, so I went there and waited at the lobby. When my lawyer was in, we were ushered to the 7th floor where the office of the Special Prosecutor was. I was ushered into a room, given a seat, and next to me, on my right, were my lawyers, and opposite me was the senior or the principal investigator. I think that was the title, and some officers from that office. So as soon as I sat down, the chief investigator walked over to me, put his left hand on my shoulder and said, "You are under arrest." I said, "Why am I under arrest? What are my charges?" Well, no specific charges, but you are investigating corruption and corruption-related activities of the IMCIM, that is the committee I chaired. And he asked whether I was ready to answer some questions. I said, well, I'll do my best to answer the questions. So I was asked a lot of questions. Took about 2 hours, or a little bit over 2 hours. And after that, I was told that I had to be bailed before I'll be released. I was not offered the opportunity of self-recognizance bail. So a friend of mine was at the lobby, so he came up and bailed me, and I left. And I was told that if the need arose, I'll be invited back to the office. So that's what happened. And of course, some officers from the OSPs went to see my friend's place where he was staying to make sure that if I absconded, they will be able to get hold of my friends to produce me before the court. Yeah. So this is what happened.
What was the sum, the bail sum, the conditions attached to it?
I was told 2 million cedis or so, if I'm not mistaken.
2 million cedis. Did they also send a team to your house?
No, they did not come to my house.
But they verified the residential address of your friend who had bailed you out. Okay. And the questions that they asked you, what did it relate to?
Relate to everything that we did at the IMCIM, but I'm not sure whether I can go over those questions because this is a prosecutor, they're investigating, and I don't feel comfortable, going over the questions. So if you will permit me, let's. But it was a broad-based question, a lot of questions on many topics, and I answered as best as I could, and so that was it.
Okay, they had invited you, so this is you honoring the invitation. to go to the Special Prosecutor's Office that
yes,
day
yes,
with your lawyers?
Yes.
Okay, but in the letter that was inviting you, has it been specified that you're going to be assisting, or you're going to be a person of interest?
Person of interest.
Person of interest.
Something like that.
Okay. Around the work that related to the Interministerial Committee on Legal Mining. Yes. Today, we had heard and reported that it had to do with some expenditure around the IMCI's work, more than 300 million cedis that had been spent on drones, etc. Did anything like that come up in these questions?
I didn't hear the figure of 300 million, but a lot of questions about drones and other things. As I said, I'm not very comfortable going over because they're investigating and they took notes, they did recording, so what took place. So the important thing is that I was invited there, I was questioned, and I answered the questions as best as I could, but that was it.
Have you been asked to surrender your passports? Have they told you can travel? You have to check with them if you do?
No. There was nothing like that.
Okay.
So that was Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng in that interaction with my colleague Evans Mings in his house yesterday. Well, I still have Mr. Mahama Ayariga and Mr. Joseph Benka on the line. Let me start with you, Mr. Ayariga. So your thought on this particular move by the OSP and the sort of explanation that Professor has given us here at JoyNews?
Well, I mean, the point is that he hasn't really answered the questions that will enable people like us to comment on the matter. I mean, I won't just run a commentary because OSP office has invited somebody. I need to know why they have invited him and what the issue is, and then we can have a discussion. The OSP has not issued a statement giving the details of what informed the invitation. He himself has declined to be specific. Just a bit of it, which is about drones. Even there, he hasn't given you details of what it is about drones. Is it that drones were purchased and then there's some suspicion that in the procurement of the drones, some corrupt, practices were involved or something of that sort. So that is the issue. Not enough detail for one to really run a commentary on what happened. The most important thing, of course, is that OSP's office invited him, and it's a body that we passed a law establishing to investigate and then to prosecute cases of corruption or corruption-related offenses. So if they think they have done investigations and then there's a basis for arresting and then further investigating, we cannot stop that. And we only have to commend him that as a law-abiding citizen, when he was invited, he made himself available to them for them to do their work. And he's actually cooperating by even staying away from commenting on the interrogation exercise that has taken place. So I will commend him for the cooperation. But beyond that, I can't say much about what happened because none of them have told us what happened in detail.
Now, in a statement, the Special Prosecutor, Ghc2m, the OSP said the investigation targeted some officials of the Ministry of Land and Natural Resources and the Forestry Commission. It also targeted the activities and expenditure of the dissolved Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, especially in respect to the seizure and management of excavators, machinery, road vehicles, and gold nuggets. And we understand that per the law, if you're a person of interest and you're invited to the Special Prosecutor's Office, you can, one, be detained or be arrested and then be given bail. So does it tell all of us that, well, the OSP is really doing what we expect it to do?
Oh, I mean, it's the outcome that really matters. At the end of the day, what is the quality of work that has been done? And then what is the outcome? So we only need to monitor what is happening they've just issued a general statement about issues that they are looking into. And when they conclude their investigations, they will give an indication if they think that they have a basis for instituting prosecutions against anyone, and what will the charges be. And that is where I think we should all be interested in. And then, it then goes to court. So I will not be in a hurry to say that the special prosecutor is doing its work. As for inviting people, that really is not anything. You can invite people. What work do you do when you invite them? For me, is the issue.
Let me turn to Mr. Kpenka now. Mr. Kpenka, yesterday, if you listened to that interaction with Evans Mensah, he sought to say that it looks like certain people are witch hunting him unnecessarily with this whole Galamsey matters. Is that really the case when the OSP says, well, I'm trying to delve into activities of the IMCIM with regards to expenditure and how utilization of the machinery, the road vehicles, and the good nuggets that were seized from illegal mining sites?
I think that to talk about the word witch hunt, it will mean that one is seized with all the facts and one has come to the conclusion that there is actually much ado about nothing, and that we are just going after the person because maybe he has said one or two things that, in your opinion, you are not comfortable. And so you are coming up with sometimes trumped-up charges and just trying to silence the person. And that will be witch hunting. But I am not used to the details of the facts to come to that conclusion at all. And so I'm not able to subscribe to that conclusion that is witch hunt. Because remember that the special prosecutor is dealing with a particular law. And any person who thinks that the special prosecutor is stepping out of bounds or is infringing on his rights, the courts are there to vindicate the person's rights and etc. Because before the special prosecutor embarks on that journey of investigating, either there's a complaint or it's triggered by the special prosecutor's suspicion that credibly there's a particular crime that has been committed in an area, then they can go in to do the investigation. So all the details are very sketchy, whether there is a petition or it's triggered by the report that Prof himself wrote to the presidency, which was later leaked, and then the media discussed it extensively, and etc. We don't know. Everything we do will remain in the realm of speculation for now. So the issue of witch hunting, for me, at this particular moment, I will discard it right away and rather wait and see the detailed information that will come out of the Office of OSP to be able to see it within the context of the law, whether or not there was any breach at all. And if there was any breach, what exactly was it? Was it a corruption or corruption-related offense? If you're talking about, for example, when you hint the issue of drones, the acquisition, is it that proper procedures were not followed? One, that it didn't comply with the PPA. Two, is it that there was inflation of figures? Whatever it is, at this particular moment, any commentary that one runs on it will remain in the realms of conjecture and speculation. So if we get the fine details, we'll be able to break it down and then discuss it and know whether or not, even by the basic facts that we are confronted with, whether a crime has been committed. And if it has been committed, who are supposed to answer those questions. At this particular moment, it's too early to draw any conclusions. When the details emerge, we'll be able to run a very well-informed commentary. And because yesterday when I followed social media, it was very interesting commentary that was run. If you did follow it too, as I did. Because, people ran their own commentary and came to conclusions that Prof was being witch-hunted and that Prof fought corruption and corruption is fighting him. A lot of things, because at the end of the day, if you send an empty matter to court, you get nothing out of it. Because you cannot convict a person on the basis of trumped-up charges. So in the end, if Prof is an innocent citizen, then the matter goes to court eventually. It will be proven. But remember that at this particular moment, the matter is not even in court. They are investigating. And if Prof provides answers that satisfy them, why would there be the need to proceed with it to court? It's too early in the day. If at the end they find a case against him, they will proffer the appropriate charges in accord with the Act and proceed to court. And the court will make a pronouncement having listened to both sides.
Is the OSP right to invite an arrest?
Yeah, it's within the context of the OSP Act. You see, the Act, unlike the Office of the Attorney General, we do prosecutions. They investigate, they prosecute, and they recover. They do three things there. So they have the Department of Investigations, Department of Prosecution, and Department of Recovery. Remember, as I said, I really participated from the beginning to the end on the enactment of this act. And I had the opportunity to travel out of Ghana to be able to learn better experiences elsewhere, to try and see if we could replicate it here. So clearly, they have the power of arrest, they have the power of investigation and prosecution, as the case may be, and then the power of asset recovery. So what they did was not unlawful. Arrest is part of their mandate.
Lawyer Ayariga, some call this ambush. In the law, we've made to understand that, well, it lies in the powers that they do have. How do we then address the concerns of people who want to describe this as an ambush?
Really, I mean, I have been through the process that he is describing. I will be surprised if he just went into the office and then they came and tapped his shoulder and said, "You're under arrest." I would think that they would have sat with him, they would have mentioned to him what they are investigating, and then they would have said, well, on the basis of what we found out so far, we will say that we are treating you as being under arrest now, but then we'll grant you bail to go, and anytime we need you, we will invite you for further questioning and etc. That would be the way that they would have conducted themselves. You won't just walk in and they will come and then tap your shoulder and say you're under arrest. You know. So I don't know if you actually presented it in the chronological order in which it happened. Otherwise, you know, if you invite somebody to your office and he comes, sometimes the arrest might not even be necessary because he has shown himself as somebody who is willing to attend to your invitation anytime you invite him or her. But then if you still feel insecure about that person turning up anytime you invite the person, and you still want to go through the motion of having arrested the person and getting the person on bail with some guarantees of the person being produced anytime you want the person, you can do that, and the OSP has the powers to do that. So I don't know why people think that this is an ambush. They can come and arrest you at home if they want. They can invite you, and then when you come, they will tell you either after interrogation or any time that you are being arrested, you know, you'll be granted bail, so that there's a guarantee that you'll be produced anytime they want you. But I don't think that it's something that we should really worry our heads about.
So it's not really an abuse of power?
Oh, no. I mean, they could go to his house and arrest him if they want. They can go and then get an arrest warrant and go and arrest him if they want. But then they invite him and then he turns up. At the meeting, they can tell him that he's being arrested and then granted bail. And, you know, that is it. They have the power to do that.
So in this particular matter, you with your vast understanding of how the law works, what is your expectation of how it should progress from where we are now?
Well, they will invite him, I believe, several times to ask him a few questions, because I'm sure he's not the only person they are talking to.
Yes.
Interrogating either witnesses or suspects. And based on what information becomes available to them, they will firm up their position on what charges they should prefer against him, if they should be preferring charges at all. And then, based on that, they will one day tell him that you are being charged with XYZ, offenses. Our investigations reveal to us that you have done A, B, C, D, and that conduct, constitutes offenses XYZ, and so we are charging you with these offenses. And they may tighten the terms of the bail, and then they will, give an indication of when they will be going to court, and then they will go to court. But if they conduct their investigations and then they conclude that no offense has been committed, but at this stage, even to say they are arresting, they definitely have concluded that some offenses have been committed. So you don't just arrest somebody because you are conducting investigations. You only decide to arrest because you are convinced that the person has committed a certain offense. But you see, he refused to answer those questions that you were putting to him. Maybe if he had revealed everything that happened, we may have gotten to know that they specifically concluded on some charges, and that formed the basis of their decision that none he ought to be arrested. So you don't just arrest somebody because you're investigating. If you don't conclude that some offense has been committed, you don't arrest, in my opinion. And the Attorney General, former Deputy Attorney General, is on the line, so he can confirm. So when you decide that you are arresting, it is usually because you have concluded that the person has committed some offenses.
Interesting. All right. So it means that from where the case is, we can then assume that because they arrested him, there's been some preliminary information to then point to the fact that he deserves to be arrested.
Exactly. Otherwise, if you are just investigating a matter, why would you arrest me? Especially when you invite me and I come. So it means that anytime you invite me, I will come. So what is the basis of putting me through the process of effecting an arrest and then asking me to apply for bail and then be granted bail and all that?
Okay. So it means that the law gives him power to do that only when there is enough evidence to put someone under arrest.
I think that you will decide to arrest somebody when you have made up your mind that the person has committed some offense. Otherwise, if you are just investigating, you will not take a decision to arrest. So I believe, and I'm cautious because he himself refused to answer a lot of the questions you put to him and said that he didn't want to reveal what happened. But my own experience of how this works is that you will not be arrested if they don't think you have committed an offense.
So is this something you expect the OSP to come out to help us cure the sort of lacuna that is there now?
I didn't hear you.
Is it something that you expect the OSP to come out with more details to help cure the vacuum that has been created in terms of what led to the arrest and all of that?
Exactly. It is in the interest of transparency and accountability in terms of the conduct of public institutions that if the man has come out to tell us that he was arrested, that the OSP should tell us why he was arrested so that we know. I mean, it's a public institution. They are equally accountable to all of us. If he didn't tell us that he has been arrested, we probably would not be interested in the why. But once he has told us that he has been arrested, we might be interested in knowing why. And so information coming from the OSP will help the public to follow development in that regard.
All right. So, Mr. Pemka, going forward with this particular issue, what's your own expectation, having been a former Attorney General and having been versed in this particular creation of this office?
As the Honorable Mama Yarga has said, he's hitting it right on the head. You see, when he was invited, he could have been invited as a witness as well. Sometimes they're investigating someone, and then they call you because they think that you have some information that will help in building a case against the person they are investigating. So he could have been invited as a witness, in which case they would not have told him that you are under arrest. They would have told him that, look, we are investigating this matter and we think that you have some information that will help us in the investigation. So we are calling you to give us your statement on the matter and all that. So that one, you are just invited as a witness. But what he has told us, he was arrested. And so definitely, at the day that they released him on bail, they would have taken what we call the caution statement from him. The caution statement is a preliminary statement from you after they have told you the reason of your arrest. You write that as your explanation to that suspected offense. Then when they then continue the investigations, they will invite him, as the Honorable Mama Yarga said, they'll be inviting him from once in a while, they'll invite him to come over to clarify or give more information. Then they would continue the investigation still. When they are satisfied that, look, they have built a case, then they will then invite him to charge him. So at this particular moment, he has not been charged and put before court. He has been cautioned. So it's a process. After the caution, a number of times he'll be invited again for clarifications, and if they are convicted that he is actually supposed to answer, then he then will be charged. But I agree totally with the Honorable Mama Yarga that the office of the Special Prosecutor, being a public office as it is, should not allow the public to remain in the realm of speculation and discussion with uninformed opinions because of lack of facts. The basic facts surrounding this should be made available so as people to be able to interrogate and not allow issues to remain in the realm of speculation and conjecture where people will proffer opinions that will be completely uninformed on the basis of scanty information available to them. But there's still a long way to go. This is just the caution stage. We'll have to move through that until the person is charged and then put before court and so on. So a lot is still going to be expected in this matter. And remember that all that they are doing must be in compliance with law, and especially the law that established the office of the Special Prosecutor. In the end, if anybody feels that his right has been infringed upon in one way or the other, again you have the right to seek legal redress to vindicate those rights in a competent court, such as the High Court.
Okay, Mr. Pemka, I'm grateful to you for joining us here, and to Mr. Mahama Yarga as well. I'm grateful that you both could spare some time for us on the show this morning. Have a good day, sirs. You're so watching the AM show. Just gone by, we've been talking about the Office of the Special Prosecutor and the matter with Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng. We've also been looking at the appointment of Justice Ghc2m as Chief Justice. She becomes the third female Chief Justice for the country. Well, coming up after the break, the United Nations is commemorating World Oceans Day under the theme Planet Ocean Tides Are Changing. We're having the UN is joining forces with decision makers, scientists, private sector executives, civil society representatives, indigenous communities, celebrities, and youth activists, and more to put the ocean first. We've got that on our plate this morning. We're asking the relevant questions, how we can really achieve the target of ensuring that the right things are done on the ocean in respect to IUU, the irregular, illegal, unregulated, and unreported fishing practices that put our ocean at danger. We'll be delving more into that with people who really know more about the ocean here on the AM show. It's an interaction that you wouldn't want to miss. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Do you feel you're being victimized?
I think so.
Why do you think so?
What have I done wrong in this country? If if 0.001% of people behave like what I've done, this country will not be the way it is. I mean, look, I bought a whole hospital, trained people, Ghanaians, heart surgeons, trained people from Nigeria, Ethiopia, changed Kolebu after Godjesberg and Nkrumah. Frimpong Boateng was the person who added structures and systems to Kolebu, with internally generated funds, not money from the government. I changed the way Ghana Red Cross functioned. As chairman of the PRIC, I did a lot for this country. And as minister, I introduced a lot of things. If I pursue them, we have made a lot of change in this country. The things that I initiated when I was minister, most of them have been abandoned.